Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football, welcome back to a brand new video. I hope all of you are doing well today. It's 24 hours removed from last night's fantastic 4-1 win by Chelsea away at Tottenham, a result that no one expected. And I stress the word fantastic because it's fantastic in terms of the result. But I think we can all come to an agreement that what we saw was concerning. However, we'll take the 3 points and we'll take that result. And I want to say, from a reflective perspective, I really hope this is going to at least boost some sort of morale individually and collectively within the team by just taking a result like that, despite the performance. But a win is a win. We'll take it. I would rather that than lose. However, we do need to improve. And we're going to get to all of that later. But there's some other things to discuss because it seems like Chelsea have a very, very certain direction they want to go in relation to a couple of things. So what is that? We're going to get into it. But before we do not forget to check out the match review from yesterday. And in order to be here for all future match reviews and watch along, because I was here for the watch along as well, then make sure you're hitting the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be notified once I've uploaded, and enjoy all the content as it comes. Socials are on screen and in the description as well. So make sure you're on tab for all of those as well. Let's get cracking. So Chelsea scored 4 yesterday. And Nicholas Jackson scored a hat-trick, right? Albeit it happened in the last, he scored in the 75th minute for the second goal, and then he scored the last 2 in the last 3 or 4 minutes of the game. So it's a hat-trick, but it's crazy. I've never seen a striker get a hat-trick, much like I've never seen a team score 4, yet it's deemed a bad performance. And it's not even deemed a bad performance just for the sake of it. It genuinely was a bad performance. This is why I was so confused on my watch the watch along and the match review yesterday, as analysis out of the window. There was no analysis. It was just shock and trying to come to terms with what we saw. But Nicholas Jackson ended up getting a hat-trick. Is that going to be enough for Chelsea to move forward with? We got Man City next. So you answer the questions in the comments. Do you want to see Nicholas Jackson start it, or do you want to see someone else start, or maybe a player with a false 9? Realistically, on any given day, if a striker scores a hat-trick, he plays next game. He just does, because it's form. But is he really in form? That's the whole point. Yesterday was so crazy that we genuinely don't know where we stand, right? So Chelsea seem like they've already come to some sort of a conclusion. We're going to get into it because David Ornstein, of all people, has given us a little indicator as where Chelsea look like they're heading in terms of the striker situation. So let's get into it. Chelsea are looking for a really elite level forward, a number 9 or another attacker who can add more goals. Perhaps that's why Ivan Toney isn't at the top. Maybe a Harry Kane level forward, easier said than done. So it seems like the ownership at Chelsea, this is David Ornstein as well, by the way, very reputable. It seems like the ownership at Chelsea have finally realised that Chelsea need a killer up top, an actual killer, yeah? Not a literal killer, right? I'm not expecting someone to show up with an AK-47 on the side of their shorts and going to start shooting up defenders, no. But hypothetically, shooting up defenders with the ball, yes. And there's only, look, Harry Kane would have been an option, but he's gone, right? When we're talking about that sort of striker, even if Ivan Toney is even not that guy, then who is? There's one name. Actually, realistically, there's another name, but just like Harry Kane, this guy's not going to ever end up in a Chelsea shirt, and that's Erling Haaland. He's at Man City. So there's one guy. One guy. And it turns out that at the very same time David Ornstein decided to speak, we started to get certain words coming out of Italy. Now, you may well know where I'm going with this, but here is what's coming out of Italy. This has come out from Giovanni Scotto, right? And is associated with Napoli media. So he's come out and said Chelsea have initiated contact with Napoli ahead of a possible move for Victor Osimhen, with Mauricio Pochettino pushing for a new striker as early as January. Look, I've said it previously and I'll say it again. I genuinely don't think Ivan Toney will end up in a Chelsea shirt. Forget it. If he goes anyway, he's going to Arsenal. So I've come to peace with that. But there's one guy, and that guy is Victor Osimhen. It has to be. It has to be. There's no other striker to go for. There's no one else to try and pursue. We need someone that's going to be elite, and that someone is going to walk in and defenders are just going to know, oh my God, it's this guy. It's going to be Victor Osimhen. It just is, right? And I know, even then, I know, and you have to say, to an extent, correctly so, there still is going to be some level of doubt from a few fans. And because he's come from Serie A, I get it. However, players got to come from somewhere, yeah? And look, we've had successful players come from France, come from Spain. We thought we had someone successful come from Italy who was in England before, and then it just all went up in flames with Romelu Lukaku. We thought we were getting certain strikers from Germany, and then it just didn't hit the expectation. We even got strikers from the Premier League, and it didn't hit the expectation. And I'm talking about people like Fernando Torres. It can vary. But when I look at Victor Osimhen, I just see he's got all the attributes to be able to succeed. He just does. He does. So it has to be him. Now, some people are going to say, no, but we'll wait for Nicholas Jackson. Look, you're taking it from who was the biggest advocate for this guy, yeah? And even now, I still think that, yeah, there is a striker in there, right? But it's not going to happen anytime soon. And I am not going to be waiting 3-4 years for someone to finally show up. This is Chelsea Football Club. You have to have some sort of an immediate impact. And this is why I'm stressing that Chelsea need to perform at a certain level. I'm not saying win the league, but there has to be a minimum here. There can't be just a free-fall, do what you want, let's see what happens kind of attitude, because that's where you end up in nothing. You end up in the middle of nowhere. You end up lost. We can't have that. We need to know where we're going. So we need a certain level. Nicholas Jackson, respectfully, let's be honest, is not that level. He may well hit that. And to be honest, someone like Nicholas Jackson, I think would be beneficial being a second, third option to turn to. If you remember the same way that we used to turn to Solomon Kalou, you remember? For now, I think Nicholas Jackson could be that guy. When we used to turn to Loic Remy, if you remember, Nicholas Jackson can be that sort of guy, right? Absolutely no problem with that. But not the main guy. And the main guy right now needs to be, at this football club, an actual killer. And for me, it has to be Victor Osimhen. So let's see what's going to happen in terms of this. But in terms of the direction of the football club and where we're all going at the moment, David Ornstein had something else to say. So let's get into the midst of it. Let me know your thoughts on Victor Osimhen and the striker situation down in the comment section below. But let's see what else David Ornstein has had to say. He said, I think Chelsea would like to review, not judge, but review Mauricio Pochettino at the end of the season to see how he is leading the club forward. Chopping and changing managers mid-season is not on the agenda, and something would have to go dramatically wrong. Data statistics on performance give the Chelsea hierarchy optimism that better times are ahead. I've got my reservations when it comes to data, I'm not going to lie. But I'm not going to put full blame for what we're seeing at the moment on Pochettino. No way. No. I truly believe Pochettino is not a 13th or an 11th or a 10th placed manager. I don't believe he is. And this is why when he came in, I was like, all right, fair enough. We won't win the league, right? We won't. But do I expect to try and get back into a Champions League spot? Yes. I think he is of that bracket. I think Pochettino is a manager that should be operating at 3rd, 4th, 5th max. That sort of bracket in the Premier League is where I think he should be managing the team, in and around there. And then whatever happens afterwards, happens afterwards. However, I've always said, even prior to getting Pochettino, I think that he's a manager that can take us out of the mud, and then do I think he'll take us to the promised land? I've got my reservations. To now, I stick to that. So I don't believe that he's a manager that should be operating in the bottom half of the table. But at the same time, I have to look at the players that we've got. I believe that there's enough talent in order to be in a respectable position. However, we haven't left ourselves with what I'm going to show you next. I think the tools or the resources to be able to get something going now. We've jumped on a bunch of young lads with no longevity, and we're just gluing them together and going, go on, take us to the Champions League spots. You know, I believe that the talent is there in terms of ability to get us to a respectable position, like I said. But I don't believe that where we are right now and the struggles that we're going through is solely down to Poch. I believe that there is part responsibility on his decision-making, his man management, his in-game management. Actually, his man management, I think, has been good. His in-game management is something to turn to. However, we saw yesterday, performances from some players were just like, what's going on? What's going on? You know? So we have to start talking about whether the players are, or some of the players in the squad are genuinely good enough. You know? Like I said, as a squad, I think there is enough ability to get us to a respectable position. But I do think there are certain players that they're just not cutting it. So that's where I think it's all heading. But Pochettino's review, for a review on Poch, look, I got to be honest. Right now, imagine if we were to get rid of Poch. Is there anyone to turn to that can truly get us out the mud? We have to understand that right now I do think there's a lack of real footballing opinion at the football club in terms of the hierarchy. We've got recruitment and sporting directors and whatnot. However, I'm talking about people at the football club that have operated at a decent level. We've plucked out some people from Brighton. We've got owners that haven't been in the game before. We haven't got any old school experienced heads at the club. We've chucked all of our experience in the team. And we've only got Poch, who I see as the actual leading football figurehead, who has somewhat operated at a decent level, getting Tottenham to a Champions League final. Taking all this, being able to compete for the Premier League title with a team like Tottenham until Chelsea and Eden Hazard showed up in one of our worst seasons of all time. And we still, managed to divert them away from that, and Leicester won the league. But Pochettino has been in and around that sort of environment. So, yeah, look, as much as, like I said, there are things that we have to turn to Poch to and go, mate, you have to fix up. Yeah, getting rid of him now, I think could probably send us even more south. So, respectfully, yes, I think we wait. I think we see what happens. But we have to fix up. And like this says, if things go drastically wrong, at the end of the day, just like Ten Hag, you pull the trigger. It's got to happen. But there needs to be a correction in terms of the decisions that are being made at the football club by the higher-ups. Right now, I'll be honest, I believe all of our problems that we're going through right now stem from the drastic amount of change that the owners came in with from the get-go. They changed things way too quickly. And now that's irreversible. It's irreversible. Now, to back up the point, we have an ex-Chelsea player who has decided to talk and say the same thing. We saw Joe Cole say something similar a couple of days ago before the Tottenham game. We've seen ex-players say the same thing. We've seen many other people say the same thing. And now we've got Marcel Desailly. They are carried away by the potential that each player that they've bought has, because they've forgotten about one element, knowing that to play football at the highest level, to attain what we call in French, la culture de la gagne, the winning mentality, you need experience. Nascent talent is never enough to presume immediate performance. That goes back to what Alan Hansen said years ago. You can't win anything with a bunch of kids. It's as simple as that. Now, you can't win anything with a bunch of kids alone. If you have a bunch of kids and you got some experience, some old heads, some winners in there that are able to teach and steer and show them the way, then yes, you can. But to just get a bunch of kids and go on, lads, who's leading? Who's doing what? How do they know? They don't know. Which is why I'm saying you can't be naive enough to think that, oh yeah, no, don't worry, Chelsea are just going to get themselves out of this, it's fine. The doubts are there because we've just got a bunch of kids. And who's going to find out how to win here? They're all going to grow up together, but what if they grow up struggling and they just continue to struggle and we just stay mid-table? For even 3-4 years' time, we're going to have a bunch of 25-year-olds instead of 21-year-olds that are mid-table. Who's to say? Who's to say? Which is why we've got opportunities in transfer windows. We've got opportunities to scout. We've got opportunities to look and get rid of policies that I think have held this team back. The immediate amount of change that came in at the get-go. The stupid rule of not buying anyone over the age of 25 was absolutely ridiculous. If we can scrap those things and in the future windows start to really, get a couple of winners into this team that are able to show, then I think we should be able to get somewhere. Much like I've just said, in order to get a killer striker in, someone that's lethal, that can up the levels, that's only going to transcend to the rest of the team. So this is where I think the ownership and Poch has an opportunity to rectify the situation, but they have to do it at every single earliest opportunity that comes their way. Simple as that. So if that happens in January, fantastic. And then at the end of the season, of course, we can review, like it's been said, and see where we stand. However, I don't want to say that, we'll stay 10th then, that's acceptable. It's not acceptable. It's not. And there has to be a level of urgency here in order to get everyone going, okay, now crap, look, we're in the mud here. We've got to really fix up. Let's go. There has to be. There can't be a bunch of guys going, it's going to be okay, don't worry. It's fine. It's not fine, mate. So someone needs to be set in that. And I hope Poch is the one that is going to be doing that. It's his responsibility. So let's see what happens. Now, moving away, we have news about this coming weekend against Manchester City. And again, look, we've got Man City on the weekend. That's going to be a very, 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 very interesting fixture. At the Bridge as well. We'll see what happens. Let me know your thoughts, your early thoughts. But we found out who the ref is. And I can't believe it. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Anthony Taylor will referee Chelsea versus Manchester City. I thought he was banned. I thought he was demoted. I thought he got sent to the Championship. What happened? Well, it turns out he was sent to the Championship. He was sent to the Championship, and look what happened. The 3rd of November, Anthony Taylor is demoted to the Championship for one game for making a huge error. That wasn't made clear, by the way. They just said he's demoted. They didn't say just for one game. They said he's demoted, right? Anyway, he gets demoted. 4th of November, Anthony Taylor makes horror penalty decision in the Preston versus Coventry game. The 7th of November, Anthony Taylor is given Chelsea versus Manchester City this Sunday. Good process, lads. Yep, footy accumulators, well said. Fantastic. FA, beautiful. Well done. Well done to the FA. Well done to the PGMOL on this one. Absolutely incredible. Yeah. Demote a referee because he was rubbish. He gets demoted. He makes an absolute blunder in his demotion. And then instead of demoting him even further or getting him to face even more consequences, nah, mate, it's fine. You get one of the biggest games in the country, Chelsea versus Manchester City. That's your reward. Now, what did he do in that Preston Coventry game? Blatant dive, penalty decision. He's blatantly seen it. He somehow gives the pen. And then they score and they actually end up getting a result. As a result from that horrible decision. And because of that, yeah, you get Chelsea versus Manchester City, mate. Well done. You're back. Welcome back. Absolute joke. Absolute joke. Anthony Taylor, if you make one blunder in that Chelsea City game and you cost us, oh my God, it's going to get mad up in here. It's going to get mad. There's going to be a ruthless amount of pressure that's going to be piled on from all angles, on the FA, on the PGMOL, on everyone, to know what? To not just demote Anthony Taylor, but get rid of him, end him, finish him. So let's not get to that. Anthony Taylor, you've been brought back. You should count yourself a lucky guy, a very lucky guy. Yeah, you're the luckiest referee I've ever come across. You need to take this game seriously and don't make one mistake. Simple. Have a flawless game, do your job, be unbiased, make the correct decisions, put emotions aside, do what you got to do. You don't make any blunders, happy days. You make a blunder and it goes against us, they're not going to hear the end of it. They're not going to hear the end of it. It's as simple as that. So let's see what happens. But that's Anthony Taylor coming back, and he's going to be the referee for Chelsea versus Manchester City. It worries me because we have a bad history of Anthony Taylor. Bad history. He's only been okay maybe once or twice. I've been able to say, all right, fair enough. He's had a good game. I want to say the same on Sunday. I want it to be a third time. Yeah? Simple. So let's see. Now, to wrap up, before we end, here is the latest coming out of Saudi Pro League. Nuno Espirito Santo is on the verge of getting sacked as Al Ittihad head coach after a big argument took place in the locker room with Karim Benzema. The Saudi club want a French coach to please Benzema and Kante. That only means one guy. Now, before I get to that guy, and we call the end of this video, Nuno Espirito Santo, listen, he's just not a manager at the elite level. And when I mean elite level, obviously I'm not meaning the Saudi Pro League, but I'm talking about managing players like Benzema. You got to be elite. It's as simple as that. You got to be at the highest. He's incapable. So it's all kicked off. And of course, I'm not advocating player power here, but even so, come on, it's Benzema and it's Kante. Especially in Saudi, you're going to be making sure you protect those players and you have them on side and you have them leading your team, because if you don't, you're coming up against other teams that have top players that are going to rinse you. So it's only right that they turn to the manager, and he's got a track record of not being able to deal with that sort of ego and that sort of personality. So Nuno needs to get sacked, absolutely, especially if an argument's kicked off. And there is one guy that I think they can turn to that should and probably would get Al Ittihad on absolute fire. You want someone to get on with Benzema and Kante, and you want him to be French, at least French speaking, or born in France? There's one guy, Zinedine Zidane. Go and get him. Simple as that. Give him the bag. Here's 100 million a year, Zinedine. You've got Benzema and Kante to come and manage. Make your way to Saudi, my friend. And look, I think he would kill it. Managing Benzema again, being able to manage Kante, that would be quite an opportunity for him. I think that would be the only guy that they should turn to if they're looking for someone French. And respectfully, I know originally he's not French, but ex-captain of the French national team, Ballon d'Or winner, legend for the national team, absolute legend of world football, has managed Real Madrid in the past, has managed Benzema in the past. It just makes sense. So give him the bag. Let's see Zidane at Saudi. Simple as that. Let me know your thoughts down below. Much appreciated. And I will see all of you tomorrow for a couple of new ones. Yeah, there'll be a double upload tomorrow, so make sure you're here for that. Enjoy it. And I will see all of you then. Thank you all very much for watching. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification bell to be notified once I've uploaded. On top of that, smash the like button. If you have enjoyed this, let me know all of your comments in the comment section below in regards to Osimhen, the Chelsea structure, Pochettino, where we are, the young players, all of that. Plus, Desai's comments. And towards the end, the story on Benzema, Nuno, and Zidane, maybe. Who else would you name? Let me know in the comments. Much appreciated. And I will see you all tomorrow. Have a good one, people. See you tomorrow. Take care and peace.